Okay, so I am back from Mexico visiting Santo Tomas. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts about the trip, how it went, summarizing everything. And I will also talk a little bit about the questions or confusion about the private placement. If you're new to this channel, my name is Mariusz Konieczny. I run Microcap Explosions, a private membership website dedicated to microcap stocks, which are ignored and underfollowed by the investment industry. I also wrote 10 books on investing, one of which is available for a free download at microcapexplosions.com. Finally, I also created valueinvestinguniversity.com, which is a free resource to make you a more intelligent investor. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I have been writing and talking about Oracle since 2017, but it wasn't until 2020 that I was talking about the company on the YouTube channel. And so I went to Mexico for my third trip. And I am very glad that I went. Changes within the company are monumental, night and day. The first two trips that I took, it was mostly about take a look at this property. Here's a camp, here's a building, a core processing building, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to drill, we're going to do this is going to get processed here, and it was all about promises of what's going to happen in the future. This trip was completely different because whatever the company promised is the company is actually doing. So the company is drilling after 20 years of no drills being drilled at the property because of the obvious reasons. The property was tied up in a legal battle for so many years. So now the company is drilling. Now the core is getting taken out of the ground and it's getting processed by the team. So on a prior visit that I was there, there was a team. There was people in the office, there was Ian, there were people already working on the project, but there was really no geological team, right? Taking care of the core processing. There was no drilling crews. There was no a camp in the north. There was no camp in the Brazilias, right? Now we have all that. The company built a new camp in the north, and which you saw the tour of the new camp. We did not tour the camp in Brazilias, but it's there. The camp in the north can house 52 people, and the camp in Brazilias, I think around 30, something like that. And now there are crews drilling. At the time that I was there were 3 drills turning. We only saw one, but there were 3 drills turning on the property. And to be able to have those drills turning, there needs to be about 150 people in the drilling crew to be able to make that happen. And then the crew people are supplied by the contractor, and 2 of the drills are supplied by the contractor, and 1 of the drills is owned by Oracle, but the labor is supplied by the contractor. And then, of course, you have this entire group of people, which you met in the Meet the Team video, that is responsible for processing their ore, because once it comes out from the ground, it has to be transported to the core processing facility. Then you saw in the video all the steps that have to take in. It has to be put to dry, then it has to be taken photos of, and everything has to be measured and cataloged and inserted into the system. And then they have to look at it, and they have to use those guns to measure the metallurgy, what's in there, and it all takes time. So as investors, we just are sitting in front of our computers and we're screaming, oh, we want results, we want results. It takes a long time to get those results, especially when Oracle had to assemble that team. They assembled the team from scratch. And when you are assembling any kind of team, You go through people that don't work out because of, personality differences or this or that. So you go through some trial and error to assemble the team that you want. And then you have to streamline the process. And that's why Oracle brought Mike Smith that you met. He was describing the drilling process. He was brought in to streamline the core processing system. So in order for Oracle to be able to handle more volume, because right now they have 3 drills, but the goal, you heard Ian talk about, the goal is to get the 4th, 5th, and maybe a 6th rig. And that requires more people, more drilling crews, more ore coming out of the ground, and it requires a better system or more efficient system in order to process it on time. So this all takes work. And I can tell you one thing is that all of those people are literally working around the clock. They don't take any days off. They are working there to make this project successful. The drilling crews are drilling 24/7, 2 shifts, 2 12-hour shifts, non-stop throughout the night. When you and I are sleeping, they are drilling. And then when they accumulate all the core that has been drilled, then it gets transported to the facilities and it has to be processed. So those people that process it, they work 7 days a week, non-stop, no holidays. And they do that to make this project successful. So I think we as shareholders should at least appreciate the effort that it takes to make us money. But now, the bottom line from the trip and from all of this is this. Some people call me and they're like, so what's the summary? The summary is really this. We have a monster deposit based on historical drilling and based on the most recent drilling that confirms that we have a monster deposit. North zone is bigger, okay? And we have copper and Brazilias. Before, all we knew about Brazilias was that there were some rumors that there's copper in Brazilias. Now we know there's copper in Brazilias. No question about it. What we don't know is how much and what grade. And we will find that out over time as the results start coming out. Now, because there was zero information, there were rumors, but zero information about Brazilias, I wouldn't expect that they drill the first hole and boom, and we get whatever we dream about. It will take, and Ian said that many times, it will take about at least 10 holes to truly figure out what we have in Brazilias, because you're looking for a deposit in a place where you don't know where it is. And that's what drilling is all about, especially exploration drilling. The drilling in the north, we already knew it's there. The drilling in Brazilias is not purely explorationally, but we don't know where it's there. So the drilling, you put drills in, you take out the core, you get all of the information, and the information gives you clues. It gives you clues, not about copper, but it gives you clues about other minerals. And those minerals give you clues and vectors to where the source is. So it will take some time, a lot of holes, to figure out where it is that they have to go in Brazilias to be able to find what it is that they're looking for. But right now, we know it's there. We just don't know the quantity and the grade. Now, in the north, we also know that the north is bigger, okay? And Josh, that did the presentation, he talked about the fingers and a palm. So far, we're hitting the fingers. And as we are getting more information on the fingers, we are getting closer and closer to the palm. And that's why the geologists are getting more and more excited, because the results from getting closer, it tells them that we are getting closer to the palm, and that's what makes them super excited about this project. So that's the most important thing about this whole thing. The trip was great, we ate great food, I took some photos and all that, but the most important thing is the deposit is huge. We have copper in Brazilias, and we have more copper in the north, We don't know how much more, and we don't know what grade, and we're going to have to wait for the results, not just few holes, but more results that will be coming out over the month, and we will learn exactly what it is that we have. Now, the great thing about this is that at this point, I don't think we're paying, based on the stock price, anything for Brasileiras or what's more in the north, because I said it many times in my videos that whatever we have from historical justifies about $5 stock price. So if the stock price is anywhere below $5, we're not really paying for Brasileiras or more in the north or more in the south. So it's a nice optionality that we're not paying for. And I love optionalities that I'm not paying for. It's like a lottery ticket that someone else pays for. Now let's talk about the private placement. Because as you know, the company closed the private placement. And some people are saying that this whole process was mismanaged, that the company should have raised money at higher prices, and everybody has an opinion about it. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. They have about 10 million in the bank, right? And within 3 months, I would say about half of the money is going to be gone, right? Within 3 months. And so do we want to get into a situation where the market is going to start worrying about, they're running low on cash and now they have to raise money, and will they be able to raise money? You see, when you are running a mining company, you never want to raise money when you need money, okay? And you also want to leave something for the other guy. I understand that it would be nice to raise money at $3 or $3.50. From our point of view, it would be nice. Oh, it's going to be less dilution. But let's not forget that there is somebody else on the other side that has to write the check. Do they want to write the check at $3? Well, obviously they didn't. And when I was on the trip the second time, the stock was over $3. And we didn't even start drilling. And it was already at $3. And I remember back then, Ian and Adam was telling me that it's going to be very difficult to raise money at that price because the institutions are looking at the market cap and they're like, your market cap is already 700 million or wherever it was, and you haven't even drilled anything yet. So obviously there was a mismatch, right? There was, you always have to have buyer and seller of shares, which is Oracle, and buyer of shares. They obviously didn't meet at that price, and don't think that the company didn't try to raise money at $3 or $3.50 when the stock was at that level. Mining companies are always talking with investors about financing, because mining companies, especially companies like Oracle, which are not like mining and producing the product, they are developing an asset to sell it to a major, they don't generate any revenue. So they always have to think about the next financing, because whatever they do, it costs money. So I can guarantee you this, that they were talking with institutions and investors at that time, but the price was too high for the institutions. Now backtrack about 2 months. The stock got a lot lower, and now the institutions were finally interested. And we had already some results that were promising, meaning the results already said, yes, we have copper in the north, which means that the historicals have been confirmed exactly to what the historicals said. So this, along with the lower stock price, plus a warrant, full warrant, was enough to make that match between the seller of shares and the buyer of shares, and that's why the transaction happened. That's why the company was successful in raising money. And then some people are saying, well, why didn't the company wait to release more drill results in order to raise at a higher price? Well, that's assuming that the results are actually going to make the stock price go up? What makes you think that it will? Oh, if results are good, the stock price is going to go up. Really? Why don't we look back a little bit at the history of how Mr. Market reacts when it comes to Oracle? Before the legals were solved for Oracle, the stock price went up to about 80 cents. Before the legals were resolved. And then after the legals were resolved, the stock price crashed to 20 cents. Was the resolution of legals a positive or negative? Positive. Why did the stock price go down? Welcome to Mr. Market. What about the drill results? The stock price was at 350 and there was no drilling. Nothing. And the stock price ran up so high. Copper wasn't at that level at all. The stock price went up that high because people were excited. Mr. Market was excited about drilling. And then drilling comes, then results start coming out. By the way, the results that were 100% expected. And then the stock price got cut in half. That's how Mr. Market operates. You can never predict what Mr. Market is going to do in the short term. And now you have a situation where the company has $10 million in the bank. Within 3 months, it will probably have $5 million in the bank. The war in Ukraine is breaking out. You don't know what's going to happen in the world. Do you think that it's a good idea for the company to gamble on what the market will do once it finds out the results? Do you think it's a good idea to take that gamble? And let's say the results are fantastic, because on this trip that I just went, and I'm talking to the geos, and they don't have the drill results yet, because as Craig said, the drill results have been withheld with the lab in order to close the private placement. But the geos are looking at the core, right? They're measuring the core, so they have some good idea of whether the holes are going to be good. And I'm like, are you excited about the holes? So they're like, one guy is like big smile on his face. He's excited about this hole, and that hole, and it's going to be all great. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, and I asked them the same thing, all of them. I said, you are excited about this hole, and it's fantastic. I'm glad you are excited. But just because you are excited doesn't mean the market is going to get excited. Because the market, because you might be like, I'm excited about this hole because this hole tells me this or that, and it tells me that maybe we are getting even closer to the palm, or it's telling me that there is this kind of mineral, and this kind of mineral usually has copper, and it's this and it's that, and this is what makes me all excited. Do you think that the market understands all that? The market is very simplistic. The market cares about grade and then the distance. That's all. They don't know about palm and fingers and this and that. The market wants results. So even though the results might be fantastic, the market might not get it. Or even though the results might be exactly what the market wants, Mr. Market is busy reading about what's happening in Ukraine. So we don't know. And what if the results are not that great? What if it takes not 5 holes? What if it takes 15 holes, 1-5, in order to get to that exciting hole? Like if you look at Philo, for example, everybody's talking about Philo. Philo did this, and the stock market, the stock price went up. Do you know that it took 40 holes for Philo to hit this? And now, what if we only have money in the bank for 10 holes, but it takes 15 holes, and you disappoint the market for the first 10 holes, and then the market be like, screw it, I'm moving on. Then it's game over, because then it's like you have $5 million in the bank. The market is worried about, are they going to be able to raise money? The stock price gets cut in half, and then they have to raise the money? Is this how you want your management to be gambling? No, it's better to be like, raise the money when you don't need it, give the next guy some upside, because at the end of the day, it's like, what's the difference in the dilution? Maybe 2-3%, but you are making sure that the company has enough money so that in 3 months, the market is not going to worry about then whether the company is going to be able to do financing. And even if the holes, I can totally see that, even if the holes are fantastic and the market gets it, and it takes 3 months to get there, unlikely the stock price is going to go up, because the market is going to be like, whoa, but can they still finance? Right? So that fear of inability to finance might hold the stock back. So from our point of view, it's easy to say, oh, they should have raised it $3. Well, maybe you should have been the one helping the company and bringing the money in, because if you can raise money at $3, maybe Oracle should hire you to do financing for them. Or maybe if you think you can do that just because the stock market says it's at a particular level, maybe you should start your own mining company. And make sure you let me know what it is, not because I'm interested in investing, because then when you crash and you bankrupt the company, then I'll be able to add your company into the Why I Hate the Mining Stock video series. So from my point of view, it is absolutely fantastic that they raised this money and they took the fear of financing 3 months down the road out of the way. Now they'll have about 20 million plus the 10 that they have. They'll have about 30. And they will be comfortable now to say, we're going to add 4th, 5th, and 6th rig because we're not worried about running out of money. And then when the results start coming out, and if they're good or decent, the market gets it, the stock is going to run, because there is no other financing around the corner. So if you want to get shares, you have to get them in the open market. And then all the institutions that came into this financing, when they make money, or whoever participated in the private placement, when they make money, they're going to start talking. Just like you guys told all of your friends about Oracle because you made money, they will do the same. So stock goes up 50%, they will do more. Because institutions are involved, they will probably get research. Oracle never had any research before. Now they're going to have research. And so while it costs maybe 2 or 3% of extra dilution, the benefit from raising this money right now far outweighs the negatives of that extra dilution. So in summary, the trip went fantastic. I am very happy that I went. I can see the progress. Brazil has copper, lots of copper. We don't know how much. We don't know what grade. Copper, they are confirming the historical, and there is more in the north. We don't know how much and what grade, and we'll find out. Now the company is cashed up to get more rigs on the property, which means more news flow, more excitement, so good times are ahead. So that's it for this video series from the trip, and I hope you enjoyed it.